I can instantly.
I'm going to call to order the Westford Conservation Commission meeting for Wednesday, April 22nd, 2026. This meeting is being broadcast live by Westford Cable Access TV and being recorded for playback online. By participating in this meeting, you're consenting to your likeness and audio being used for this purpose. So our 7 p.m. agenda item is open forum. Do any members of the commission have something for open forum? Okay, Matt?
Just that the drafted open space and recreation plan is available and open for public comment. QR codes are available on the meeting room door for residents to respond. Additionally, a link is in the commission's meeting packet. And lastly, newsflash will be going out in the next day or two, notifying the public that it's open and available.
So 3 members of the commission have their terms expiring on June 30th. The select board has implemented a new process for boards, committees, and commissions for which it's the appointing authority, that even existing members who want to be reappointed go through the interview process along with everybody who's submitted a volunteer activity form in the last 2 years. So what the commission is going to do is we're going to reach out to everyone who has submitted a volunteer activity form since March 2024 to see if they're still interested in being appointed to the commission. And then we are going to be scheduling interviews at the commission's March 27th meeting. So if you're interested in being on the
May
27th.
I'm sorry, May 27th meeting. So if you're interested in being considered for appointment to the commission, please fill out a volunteer activity form, which is available on the town's website, and we can be in contact with you. Is there anything else we need for?
April 29th.
Oh, yes, the commission is going to have a meeting to discuss specifically issues related to East Boston camps next Wednesday, April 29th, in this room is it in this room? Or we don't need yet?
Check for agendas.
Okay,
We'll confirm.
so the meeting will be at 7 p.m. An agenda will be published on the town's website if you want to get more information and the location of the meeting. Do any members of the audience have something for open forum? Okay, moving on to our next agenda item. It's a partial certificate of compliance request for Orchard Church, 130 and 134 Littleton Road.
Good evening. Tom Hughes with Hughes Environmental Consulting, here on behalf of Orchard Church, the church formerly known as Grace Community Church. We did a site walk. I think those who attended saw really how well things have come out. I did promise to follow up on confirming the way that set of basins works around the pond, between the pond and the parking lot. And what I can do is point out, let's see, okay, so there's a break in the curb right around here. So any water that's coming down here, the roadway is super elevated so that the water goes in there. It basically comes down over the overflow and goes into this cell of the 4-cell infiltration basin system. There are pipes connecting each cell. The design is to have this all be essentially the same elevation, pretty much, and so the water should kind of rise together. You can see from the as-built, they're only 0.2 off in terms of, you've got 0.3, 0.1, 0.2. So pretty good grading in there in terms of how it ended up getting built. Once it gets to a point where there's so much water that it has to go somewhere else, there's a catch basin right here, So all of the cells would drain out through this. This goes into the drain line that takes it back here and down through this parking lot area into this infiltrator, which is under the Phase 2 parking area. And just to remind the commission, when the notice of intent was filed, we sized this to be able to handle a Phase 2, so a larger drainage input. And that would include a parking area that would be over this. And this is the area where you saw they've been doing some temporary parking. It's kind of a dirt area up in that area. So that water ends up going into the infiltrator. The infiltrator's overflow comes down through this line and ends up going to that outlet near the pond. So in order for the water from these cells, even if this is not draining at 72 hours, before this ever actually just gets discharged somewhere, it is a long route to go. It goes into this infiltrator, which is currently oversized for what's, the drainage area is taking because it incorporated Phase 2. But even so, this area is really beautiful, clean sand underneath and drains really well. So it's going to be very rare that water is coming from that infiltrator and ending up out here. We will be doing the maintenance on those little rills that we saw out there, and they'll be cleaning the sediment out of any of the basins where we see any signs of sediment, just it's part of the routine O&M anyway. Anyhow, so I just wanted to follow up on that because it's been so long since I presented the notice of intent to you guys. And while I watched it be built, the piping was sort of all over the place. So I was just a little remiss during our site walk. But other than that, I think the place looks great. The partial certificate still leaves survival of plantings, the invasive work, the
Trail.
like the trail marking, the
The trail.
tagging of all those posts.
The trail itself.
Yeah, and the trail itself. The trail itself is based on mowing, so it's not, we don't actually put a surface down for that. It's just maintain and mow. So we'll continue to work with the commission, and as you saw, they have plenty of areas beyond the minimum requirement for invasive removal, and they're excited about trying to tackle it all. So with that, I'm certainly happy to answer any questions, but we'd ask that you consider issuing that partial certificate.
Shall we report the site visit as
Yep.
to who was present?
Yep.
So at the site visit, there was Marilyn, Jim, Lauren, and myself.
Look beautiful.
And no.
We did see there in two of the infiltration basins, after at least a few days of no rain, there still was water in two of them. At both ends, I think they were, this end here where we had parked, and then that end where we.
Right.
Yeah, and
So-
that was where
so
you
those-
had,
I don't know if those all included in this partial certificate?
If the commission wants to kind of,
We should probably look at it after a significant rainfall and then wait the 3 days and then check it. Because we haven't had a heavy rain in the 3 days prior to the sidewalk. And there was still water in both of them.
were you talking about having sediment removed?
Yeah, so when, I think we had some pretty decent rain. I'm up in the Newburyport area, so sometimes it rains there and it doesn't rain here. But I think sort of 4 days-ish prior to the site visit, we did have a couple of days of some decent rain. I imagine you guys must have gotten about an inch total out here. What we were talking about, in this area, there were just a couple inches of water. There were some areas that were dry, but for the most part, this had a couple inches of water in it. And this had a little less water, but it had some water. And we're talking about cleaning the sediment, the surface sediment out of here. And these two cells as well, and this cell. And the thing that we talked about is even if these fail to drain in that time period, they are draining. It does appear that they're draining, which even if they drain a little bit slower, they act almost as sort of almost as a wet pond. The engineer says that from a water quality point of view, they'll still function just fine. I know I talked to Matt earlier, and his concern would have been enhanced had these things been ponds, sort of permanent ponds, where then you start getting into aquatic management and all that. But I'm pretty confident that these are functioning well enough, and with the sediment removal, we should get that, drying out quite a bit quicker.
Now, the vegetation in the bottom of the ponds, is that going to be species that are intended to uptake nutrients out of the water while it's
It's a standard sort of contractor's seed mix. I think the nutrient removal really comes from infiltration and attenuation in the soil. This is infiltrating, it's a good distance from the pond, and then once it, if we get the big enough rainstorms, it's infiltrating way over here, where it's outside the buffer zone. It's got quite a way to travel through the ground. It wasn't anything special for the bottom of that. It was trying to remember the seed mix, but it was sort of a...
So just a regular seed mix?
Yeah.
In a couple, actually in the first basin, we had also noticed where there was some erosion on the sides of the slopes.
Yes, I mentioned that will be repaired as well.
Okay.
So basically, some of the sediment is from that, and I think that's the problem. I think that those erosion rills happened between the time they finished and they hydroseeded, and they were on the contractor's list to fix. And we talked about this. The contractor had a long list of things to do and got through most of it, but there's a couple little things that are left. And the things that are left are the kinds of things that frankly, the volunteers that have formed the stewardship committee are going to be able to do with wheelbarrows, shovels, rakes, and just take care of it. So there's no heavy lifting remaining on that.
Jim?
There was also the inspection ports on the subsurface septic system. They were all above grade or at grade. One was already broken.
Yeah.
And you yourself thought that those would be targets for the next lawnmower that passed overhead.
Right, and that's on the church's list as well in terms of just regular maintenance. I believe when it was graded off, they were flush, but with that settling that happens with fresh
Could
loam.
be, one of them was busted already, I think.
Yeah, so they just need to put a new cap on that and go out there with wheelbarrow and rake it out and.
Yep.
And not shown on the plan, but that's outside the 100-foot buffer to the resource area.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not shown on the plan, but again, the commission wouldn't have allowed a septic system, so. It's
yeah.
good to
The
make sure it's
buffer-
noted, but it's.
The buffer runs kind of right through this area, I believe. The stream is down here, there's a little bit of a floodplain wetland, and then the wetland is more or less along this brush line. Yeah, so those ports that are here and here, the inspection ports, it's gonna settle for a little bit, and they'll put down some soil and seed it, and it'll probably settle a little bit more, and they'll just have to top dress it until it normalizes and it's not a mowing target. They're aware of it at this point. I think they hit it on the first mow.
Are there any comments or questions from members of the audience? So in terms of the partial certificate?
Again, kind of as noted in the letter, I don't know if we included it. There, again, kind of substantial conformance with the site plan, including, layout and
Didn't that just say the whole thing was completed in accordance with, so why?
Right, from the engineer's point of view, and again, in terms of the actual, the establishment of the vegetated areas, the kind of ongoing meadow management areas, your point, the trail, and, laying out the trail, those are all kind of things
So what's our
that.
certificate of compliance going to say? That's my
Well, this
question.
is a partial.
Partial.
This
Right,
means
so the partial being.
What's the scope of the partial?
What's the partial
This,
certificate going to say?
being the extent of the pavement, the, construction of the drainage.
Can you read off a list of identifying
Yeah,
that?
no, right, I'm saying right,
Okay.
so it's the pavement, the extent of the drainage, the buildings, and, general grading of the site. Again, they were filling some spots, and so that would be what is completed. What is yet to be completed include, the meadow management, ongoing meadow management
Right.
and plantings related there too. The invasive species work within the buffer resource area, trail maintenance, or the trail establishment, and that's really kind of it for our punch list. I mean, there may also be some.
And the sediment removal?
Well, I mean, that's a part of kind of their ongoing the regular operation and management of the ponds.
But, so when it comes time to give them the final certificate of compliance, that would be one of the things we would make a note, is to say, has sediment been removed? Are there no more rills in the side?
So is that going to be on our list?
For
Yep.
for the full compliance.
But is it going to be?
Right, no, so what gets issued is saying what has been done. So we're saying the site development, pavement, drainage, and general grading. The outstanding stuff, as listed off, that's not included in the partial certificate of compliance.
I think that makes it more difficult to figure out in a year. Are we going to remember which items need to be checked again?
I mean, there's
All we're going to do is read general grading is fine. Well, maybe general grading
Well-
is fine.
Or maybe, it becomes the case of when the request comes in for the final certificate of compliance, we do another site visit. And we'll have had we will have the results of what we saw.
Maybe, or would we do that? Because if we do that, we'll forget that.
So, I
too.
mean, included in the partial certificate of partial certification, we can include the remaining work.
Good, I like that.
And if
Okay.
you, if you
Specific
look at
items, that way in a year we go back and we know exactly what to look for.
right, in the form, we listed out in just very broad brush terms what we were excluding from our request as well. So if you want to go up a couple pages there and zoom in right in there. So we basically said, so building, stormwater, infrastructure, parking areas, main landscaping, invasive work, conservation. I'm sorry, so building, stormwater, infrastructure, and parking areas, and main landscaping. And then that's what we're asking for the certificate for. And then the invasive work, conservation tags remain to be completed. They've been started. And I guess, we would add to that sort of minor landscaping. We could, those items could be added in how the thing is written, what's excluded from the issued
All right.
partial.
In a year, when I read main landscaping versus, what's the other word we're going to use?
So I think really it's the invasive.
I'd like to specifically identify which items we have to come back and look at in a year.
So I think it's the invasive work, the meadow management, the landscaping associated with the meadow management aspect, conservation tags. We can add the establishment of trail through the meadow. I think those are really the big
That's all, I
items.
think that's it in
And-
terms.
And maybe just a double check of the functioning of the infiltration,
The first and the fourth.
well,
Doesn't matter which end you count from.
let's check them all.
Yeah.
Sure, two
And-
of them
and
look
it-
like they were fine, but we can check them all, sure.
I mean, and even if you issued a full COC tonight, the ongoing maintenance of the stormwater system is an ongoing requirement to
In
follow.
perpetuity,
I believe it is on any
Stormwater
permit
system.
where stormwater is issued, you have an operation and maintenance protocol. Plus, I don't believe this has been signed off by planning yet, and they also have jurisdiction over the stormwater, so, and, frankly, if the commission wanted to vote to issue and have Matt hold it until we've got the sediment out of those basins, that would be, fine as well. That's sometimes something that some commissions will do, is they'll just vote and just ask to hold the issuance until the agent verifies something's been done. So, we intend on doing that pretty quickly, so.
It's noted, to Jim's point, as a bulleted as not completed, so.
okay. Okay, so can I have a motion to issue a conditional and to issue partial certificate of compliance?
So
You have somebody
So
on.
moved.
so
Oh,
we-
you're right, that's the other
Yes.
thing for open forum. So we have a member participating via phone, so all votes will be via roll call. So, can I have a motion
You
to
already
issue?
got it. You made the
Okay.
motion.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Eric?
Yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Noel? Jim?
Yes.
Ann?
Yes.
Lauren?
Yes.
And Margaret? Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay, moving on to
We
our
we
seven.
enjoyed the walk of the.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
It was really nice and quiet out there, only 150 yards off of Route 110, but we.
You never
was
know it.
Yeah, it was really
Yeah,
nice.
Speaking
It
of
was
open space
absolutely,
plan.
yeah, I thought it was absolutely beautiful.
Speaking of open space plan, there's some
Oh.
space right there.
It was very nice.
Yeah, take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to our 7:05 PM agenda item, there's a discussion of the Forge Village Group request to donate Freedom Park, a new sign for Freedom Park to go with the renovations or the work being done under the CPA grant. So people had a chance to review it?
Yeah, I have one comment on it. Everywhere we have a property that's under our care and custody, we use one of those brown signs with the white lettering, and they're consistent across the town. Are we gonna make them all different now, or just this one? And why do we wanna have a different, I mean, it's a nice looking sign. It really is, but it's not the same as all the other conservation properties in town.
Well, and this was designed by the people who are donating it, and
Yep.
so that's what our discussion is for.
Mhm.
So other commissioners have thoughts or feedback?
Works.
I
Works
think
for
it's a
me.
fine looking sign.
Yeah, it works for me.
I know what Jim is saying. I think this sign is fine for this purpose, for this site.
Because the site serves a dual purpose as open space and also as the park.
I like the red, white, and blue.
No,
You
I
know,
like it the way it
yeah,
is.
It's fine.
I did say it was maintenance free, was it?
Yeah, I think it's.
What are the materials?
I think it's plastic. It's the vendor that they've consulted with has done other signs recently for the commission, and they're typically like a plastic type material. And so I think that's the maintenance free. You know, my only kind of thought would be if we can figure out, you know, what is the cost in the event, you know, vandalism or, you know, something occurs to it, what's, you know, are we,
What's gonna hold it up? What's
well, I
it-
think there's existing two, either 3x3 or 4x4 posts. I think that's their intent, saying, you know, that it's the same size, that it can be, utilize the same existing posts. But again, it's in so much as it's a, you know, will get weathered less than the painted wood. And, you know, again, my just thoughts are, you know, what's its cost in the event there's vandalism or, you know, a car hits it, again, you know, a branch falls, you know, what's going to be the town's cost to replace if, in the event that happens? And that's more just kind of getting a number, and, you know, we can certainly,
I shouldn't think that
I mean,
way.
I'd also like to keep the old one, you know, see if we could stash the old one away so that in the event something does happen, we have, you know, something.
Until we fix the new one.
Yeah.
No, even after the new one's in place, you're saying in case the new one.
I know, I
breaks.
heard what, yeah, I got it.
Yeah, in case something happens to the
Yeah,
new
right,
one, we've got the
right.
old one to
But
put
I-
up.
And that could be there for a year or two until the new one comes up.
Well,
If this guy's
until
not
we fix the
available,
new
the
one.
same guy.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Okay,
It's okay with me.
so, can I have a
Questions
motion?
from the audience?
Oh, yeah. Does anybody have any comments, questions, feedback? So,
Seeing none.
What are you doing?
Make a motion to allow for the sign as proposed for the park.
Are they gonna put it up and,
Hmm?
are they gonna install it?
I don't know.
Do
Are
we know
they?
where it's gonna go?
That's not part of this motion.
And where's it,
Yeah.
what
Includes
what are we
installation.
gonna do with it?
it includes,
Removal and installation.
okay, so I think
Like, where's it gonna go, who's gonna put it in?
it's gonna go where the current sign is.
Okay. Alright, that's
They
what
said they're
we're
gonna
looking
place
at.
it. So,
People donating it, are they
So-
arranging to put it up?
It's, would we want this sign going up before the other activity in the CPA grant?
I think so. Again, it's on the outside of the fence. I think it's certainly there.
And the rest of it's gonna take so much longer, right?
Yeah, in
Okay,
design and implementation. So, yeah, I mean, this could certainly happen, certainly sooner, again, based upon the vendor's workload, so.
So I think we still have to ask for the cost of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's
in case
more,
we
I mean, if
replace it.
the commission, wants that information, that's fine. Again, I'd just like to have it,
so would you,
I mean, the commission can vote to accept it, subject to, the cost provided. Again, if the commission's, I know it's more just for my own planning purposes. And
And then also keep the old sign.
yeah, would you want them, in terms of when the sign is ready to be installed, would you want them to coordinate with you about the timing of the installation?
Yes.
About the letter, couldn't you?
Notify me.
Notify
About-
Matt about, to coordinate the timing of the
Timing.
installation of the new sign. And
Sounds good.
town getting to keep the old sign.
So there was a motion.
Can I have a second? Well, actually, do we want to restate the motion, because we've been, so can I have a
We're
motion
getting so convoluted.
to accept the donation of the sign as presented, with the stipulation that installation is coordinated through the commission's agent, and that the commission wants to retain the existing sign.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Eric?
Yes.
Marilyn?
Yes?
Noel?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Ann?
Yes.
Lauren?
Yes.
And Margaret, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to our 7:10 PM agenda item, there's a request to declare boats surplus town property.
As a result of, based upon advice to remove attractive nuisances from the Stony Brook Conservation Area, it was advised if the boats in the boathouse were not being utilized by either the Recreation Department or the operator up at Camp Neshoba, that they be declared surplus and be able to be dispersed according to procurement procedures, I guess.
So we're gonna
anti-procurement.
keep one for installing and removing.
Yep, and that's one, it's not included in the,
Oh, okay, I was gonna
Yeah.
ask which one.
yeah, so no, there were 14 in there, there's
Okay.
13 listed.
Good. And that one is gonna be locked up,
Yep.
attached to something?
To the building itself.
Okay. The building, just for the public's interest, twice in the past month, the boathouse has been broken into and boats taken out by young kids to teenagers, I guess, of the age group, and paddle around with no life jackets, no safety equipment, not their boat. And one case, they said they found, when the police talked with them, they said they found the boat on the road.
Well, and
And
that's
we-
the other thing we've seen is the boats are not being returned to the boathouse when they're done.
Well,
They're just left wherever.
They're being taken out of the broken boathouse.
Yeah.
The boathouse has been locked with boards across it, nailed shut, latches, and those have been broken.
Yeah, but the boats have also been left down by the beaches.
Yep, that too.
So anyway, okay. Any comments or questions from members of the commission? Any comments or questions from members of the audience? Can I have a motion to declare these boats surplus?
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor? Eric?
Yes.
Marilyn?
Yes?
Noel?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Ann?
Yes.
Lauren?
Yes.
And Margaret, yes. Okay. Moving on to our 7:20 PM agenda item, the public hearing for 28 Preservation Way.
Under Massachusetts General Law, Chapters 131, Section 40 of the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford's non-zoning wetland bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, April 22nd, 2026, at 7:20 PM in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, to consider the request for determination of applicability application of Ronald Cardone for the removal of 8 trees within 100 feet of bordering vegetated wetlands at 28 Preservation Way, Assessors Map 12, Parcel 144, Lot 0.
Hello, give you just a quick recap. On March 16th.
For the
Sorry.
record, can you tell us who you are?
I'm sorry, Ron Cardone,
Okay.
28 Preservation Way, Westford, Mass.
Sometimes we have an engineer or a contractor who's presenting, so it's always nice to know.
Understood. Yeah, no problem. So just a quick recap on March 16th, 3 o'clock in the morning, we had a pine tree, it basically strike our home, pretty tall, not about 90 feet tall, and
Scary.
you know, that was kind of a, yeah, everyone was okay, except my wife was about 7 or 8 feet away from the strike, so there's a little post-traumatic syndrome on her part with regard to trees around the lot at this point. But, you know, that's kind of what prompted some of our investigation with regard to this request. As a result of that, you know, the house was pretty heavily damaged. It's probably $70,000 or $80,000 worth of damage to the roof structural components. And we had a couple different tree services come in. The tree services came in to remove the tree and also walk around the lot and take a look, because at that point, obviously, it galvanized our concern about, gee, is this a problem with other trees potentially? Understanding that, you know, it doesn't mean every tree is going to fall down, but we did want to have them take a look at it. We also had a second tree service come in and kind of walk around the lot as well. And you know, a couple of things we found in the, particularly in the area in the buffer zone next to the wetlands in the rear of the property. You can kind of see it on the map here. This is Preservation Way up front, and this is the wetlands right back here. I think it's a bog file 001, I think, when we bought the home. And the trees in question are right in this area. You can see the markings. I had taken pictures and mapped each of the letters to a photographs to give you kind of a feel for the trees and what they look like and where they are respectively on the lot. So just a couple of quick things. The observations that were made was it's a dense area full of pine trees. They're very spiny, right? So they tend to be the top heavy, or they're weighted with the branches towards the sun, obviously, the sun exposure. And unfortunately, that also makes them suspect with regard to potential hazard to the home. They're only about 35 feet away from the baseline of the home. So if you page up, I'll just give you a quick view. So this is the back rear of the house. The trees in question are right here. You know, they've grown substantially over the years. It's probably close to 80 or 90 feet at this point. And you can kind of see from the picture, although it's not a good representation, they do have a lean to them. And if you get under the tree and actually investigate it, Matt came by this morning, took a quick look, you'll see that they do have a 0 to 8 degree kind of tilt toward the home. So what we did was we marked the trees that we thought were at risk. There was 8 altogether. 3 of them, again, this is all in this area here. There's one dead one over here. 3 of them, which I call out in the RDA, are really already dead and visible. I mean, it's not a question of having an arborist come in and confirm it. The bark is gone, the trunk is gray, and one of them is split as well. So it's really 5 trees in this area right here, and it's the tallest trees that are leaning towards the home that we were looking to take down. There's still 20 some odd trees in that area. We really weren't going to do any stump grinding or any of that kind of thing. We'd have to use a crane to remove the trees and and clean up and make sure that we're not impacting it. We discussed this with the neighbors because it is very adjacent here on the line between properties as well. So really I wanted to kind of present this to you guys. I have a few trees on the other side of the lot that are not in the buffer zone that we may consider taking down as well. I don't have an official arborist detailed technical report regarding the condition of the trees. My feeling was because this was about trying to mitigate risk, I wanted to at least run it by the commission, kind of see how you guys saw this and what your opinions were. This is from the front of the home. This is another look looking down the lot to the back. The bog is in this area right here, this wetlands area, and the trees are again right in this corner right here.
This is again from the backyard, looking into the trees, and they've been marked. I marked the trees to reference each of them, right? And so you'd know kind of exactly which trees we're requesting. The next slide it shows the split. There's actually a split on that side and the other side as well, and that birds are starting to get into. This was one of the dead ones, marked 1. So this is the second one there's actually one that you can see it overhanging here with all the growth at the very tip of the tree. And that was one of the ones in consideration for removal. And this was at the very tail end of the lot in that clumping that I mentioned to you. This is just one standalone. And again, the soil, as you guys know, tends to get softer and grainier as you get back towards the wetlands. So again, was one of the ones brought up as a concern. This was another tree, number 2 here, that we considered really dying or past dying at this point. It doesn't give you the view of the whole tree. If you look up, you can see most of the tree is really in a state of decline. And then this one is already fallen. It's just leaning against another hardwood tree. And so the idea was just remove that as well, just in case it doesn't fall in the driveway. But this was just a quick shot of the damage to our home and where the tree fell from the other side of the lot, so that's on the left side of the house, and where it penetrated the roof here in the garage, and the house is L-shaped. It's a little like breezeway, entranceway that had penetrated the attic area into the home. And that's just a clearer picture of the damage where the top of the tree actually came through the roof. So, the request obviously is to try and remove some of those trees in that area that I outlined. Not sure what else you feel would be necessary to make a determination if this is a reasonable request given the circumstances we have on the lot and where the trees are located.
Any comments or questions from members of the commission?
Pretty clear.
So
Eric?
Matt, you went out and took a look. Well,
Yep.
Any opportunities to cut these half and save some for habitat, log it?
Yeah, I mean, if, there's certainly, again, it's in kind of a wooded, it was probably left as wooded screening between the 2 lots. Again, probably those pines that 30 years ago provided a little bit better screening now, just as the, so, there may be, I think there are opportunities if amenable, to leave, kind of a 5-foot stump or something,
Sure.
again, for, the woodpeckers and the habitat.
Yeah, they seem to have already found some of it anyway.
Exactly.
So, it seems like there's opportunity there.
Of 2 or 3 of the existing live, I think that certainly is a possibility. Again, in terms of, I know the commission typically requires a 1-to-1 planting. Again, doesn't have to be white pine to white pine.
Right.
But, and we can be flexible on kind of species and, kind of areas that, we can, the things that grow to 40 feet tall as, 30, 40 feet tall.
As opposed to the 90.
Yeah, as opposed to 90. Let's not create future problems for ourselves.
The other thing would be is also shrubs, so something that would provide wildlife habitat, something like winterberry, where you've got something that's not going to grow more than 10 or 12 feet, and with its vegetation will give you some screening from the neighbor's house. So, it's not just planting another tree.
Sure.
We also a lot of times say.
In this particular instance, we probably entertain it because there are other trees that are
Yeah.
around, so we might entertain a shrub or 2.
Yeah, I mean, this is much more transparent than it is obviously in the spring because of everything's down, but there are hardwoods along this whole row. So what happens is you wouldn't even be able to see some of those trees, when the trees are in full bloom, yeah.
But when those trees grow taller and most of their leaves are up at the top, that's where thinking about long-term, if you plant something that's, more like a tall shrub,
Yeah,
it's,
That is dangerous.
You
it'll,
might provide that screening in the future when
Yeah.
those leaves no longer.
especially if you plant one that's kind of on the short side, and,
yeah.
but just those are thoughts.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I was gonna ask Matt for feedback anyway, so.
Okay. Any comments or questions from members of the audience?
8 or 9 trees? It said 8.
So there's
There's
5.
9 labeled on this diagram and 8.
In terms of, I'll scroll back up, and again, some of the, I think, confusion is also the, This, photos A and B are the,
Oh, they're not trees?
they're the frame, they're the views,
The view.
Okay.
and not the trees
Okay,
themselves.
So the 8 trees,
So there's 5, they mark the 5 live trees that they're proposing to be removed. Again, they're tagged in the field with, and then there's 3 dead trees. And again, there's also some additional trees kind of on the other side, outside of the buffer, which again is, considering that's where the pine that came down was from, I certainly understand.
So the RDA filing actually has the accurate list of what's being
Yeah.
removed? Okay. I asked the audience. Okay. So would this be a negative determination or a conditional?
Conditional in terms of replanting and, again, leaving opportunities for 2 to 3, 5-foot stalls.
Okay. Can I have a motion to issue a conditional negative?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Eric?
Yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Jim?
yes.
Ann?
yes,
Lauren? Yes. And Margaret, yes. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second,
All those in favor? Eric?
Yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Jim?
yes.
Ann?
yes.
Lauren? Yes. And Margaret, yes.
Okay,
So
great.
you're all set? Matt will be in touch with the report.
Right, okay, great, yeah, and you'll have the conditions or suggestions?
Yep.
All right, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to our 7:45 PM agenda item, it's a public hearing for New England Power Company transmission line right-of-way.
Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford's non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, April 22nd, 2026, at 7:25 PM in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, to consider the notice of intent application of New England Power Company for maintenance and improvement activities at 77 structures, structure work pads, and the existing access network, with access widening and new access routes in some locations, and potential removal of approximate danger trees within bordering vegetated wetlands, bordering land subject to flooding, and riverfront areas, and within 100 feet of bordering vegetated wetlands and bordering land subject to flooding along K-137E, L-138E, 337 transmission line right-of-way from the Littleton Town Line to the Chelmsford Town Line along the New England Power Company's right-of-way easement over multiple properties.
Good evening. My name's Allison Milliman. I'm with BSC Group. I'm here to represent the applicant, New England Power Company. I'll refer to this project going forward as the Sandy Pond Tewksbury Reliability Project, or just the project to keep it simple. So this notice of intent was filed for maintenance and utility improvements along the existing utility line that's associated with those 3 lines that were previously mentioned. 2 of those lines are 115 kV, and the other is 345 kV. So these are the taller transmission line structures that run down the corridor. Overall, the project proposes to replace existing structures and complete overhead work on other structures. They will be replacing the conductor, which is what transmits the electricity, and it'll also be installing optical ground wire, which is above the conductor, and that serves 2 purposes. The optical ground wire provides defense against lightning strikes, and it also allows for high-speed communications between substations, so it helps the company respond better to emergencies and to outages. So that's the purpose of that. And in order to support this work, the New England Power is proposing improvements to their existing access network along the existing right-of-way, as well as the development of work pads or work envelopes. These are required for the larger equipment that's needed to get access into the right-of-way, to put in the new structures as well as remove the old structures. The structures that they're proposing that are new will be steel structures, so they're more robust and they're more resilient. They will last a lot longer than the wooden poles or the older steel lattice structures that are currently out there on the right-of-way. The activities proposed as part of the project, again, there's 122 structures overall, but as Mr. Gazzo mentioned, 70 of which are located within areas subject to the Commission's jurisdiction. And the resource areas that, as provided in the public notice, Work is within bordering vegetated wetlands, 100-foot buffer zone, also known as the adjoining land area, 200-foot riverfront area, 100-year floodplain, borderline subject to flooding, as well as the locally regulated 50-foot limit of work. In some locations also, this transmission line overlaps with existing natural heritage endangered species program habitat. I'll get into that in a little bit on the discussion. I'd like to bring to the Commission's intention that in the notice of intent, we try to very clearly outline what part of these project activities are exempt utility maintenance under 10.022A2, and then what is subject to the regulatory, jurisdiction of the Commission. For the most part, that would be the structures that are getting enlarged within jurisdictional areas, as well as improvements of enlargement of existing access ways and the building of work pads within jurisdictional areas. So that's why I'm here before you tonight. As such, the notice of intent does serve two dual purposes. This is also providing notification to the Commission of proposed utility maintenance, as well as a request for an order of conditions for that work, which is subject to your review. In total, the project does qualify as a limited project under the utility provisions in the Wetlands Protection Act. As part of being a limited project, that allows the Commission to waive certain strict standards, such as your bylaw for the 50-foot no disturb, as well as certain general performance standards. As such, though, we have designed and permitted this project to meet all applicable performance standards associated with the resource areas. In total, the structures that are being replaced that could not be moved outside of the bordering vegetated wetlands, or there's also one in an isolated vegetated wetland, which I understand is subject to your bylaw. We're looking at about 915 square feet of unavoidable permitted fill, and then 79 square feet within IVW. So New England Power has developed and is proposing a 994 square foot BVW replication area within the right-of-way for these incremental wetland losses. I'd also like to bring to the Commission's attention that there are these special structures, I'll call them, called switch structures that are being installed along this right-of-way. The purpose of switch structures is they actually have a man-operated or a manual switch attached to these structures, which allows the utility company personnel, in the event of an emergency or an outage or storm event response, to sectionalize or turn off electricity in certain segments along the transmission line. That means that they can do this manually and immediately start making repairs without the safety risk of the power coming back on, because oftentimes they do trip, as you notice sometimes when your house, you'll get the flicker. And that's because they have something called it'll come back on. It's a trigger response. So that's the purpose of these switch structures. Because they need to have access to them at any given time, we are proposing at this time for the one switch structure that's proposed in wetland, it's structure 34B, you'll see it has a small 10 by 30 foot gravel area underneath that structure. We're going to be working with the company and with the engineer to determine which side of that structure that actual handle switch will be located. We're going to try and get it on the upland side of that structure, which would then greatly reduce that need for that gravel pad, because the problem is if the vegetation encroaches and it's too thick, it's going to impede the ability for them to respond in an emergency to gain access to this hand lever. So then I'll move on to work within bordering land subject to flooding. We're looking at 358 cubic feet, and that's associated with, again, with the existing structure replacements that are requiring a larger diameter at the base. They're proposing, floodplain replication for the same volumetric flood storage at the impacted elevations. The proposed replication areas are in attachment G.
Okay.
Of the notices. They're all the way to the end. I know, it's a monster. Yeah.
And the stormwater report, I'm like, it just keeps going.
Yes, it's all the way, so if you go all the way to the bottom and then probably scroll up, you get to it faster. That's more stormwater.
Well, then we moved it around somewhere in there. I'll find it.
Okay. Okay, and then riverfront area, total unavoidable permanent impact is only 50 square feet. And that's for one new structure. and 47 square feet for a stone work pad, which New England Power is committing to allowing to either naturally revegetate, or if that doesn't happen, they will be loaming and seeding to propagate revegetation in the riverfront. As I mentioned, there are project activities proposed within Natural Heritage Endangered Species Program habitat. BSC and New England Power are currently coordinating with their Natural Heritage Reviewer. When we submitted our MESA checklist back over a year ago now, it came back as a determination of a potential take unless we developed and permitted a conservation management plan and a conservation management permit. We're in the process right now of working with our reviewer to finalize that document. It'll contain commitments made by New England Power for activities such as turtle nesting surveys to be done on behalf of a research entity that was identified by Natural Heritage. Some invasive species control in areas that are sandy and potentially good reptile nesting habitat. So they'll be doing some restoration in those areas to remove invasives and plant more compatible low-growing herbaceous such as little bluestem in those areas. That's just a handful of some of the, as well as the time of year restrictions, full-time turtle monitoring, and making sure we have a very strict schedule that needs to be adhered to for any work within natural heritage that we're committing to.
I found the replication plans.
Oh, thank you. So the one on the top is our bordering vegetated wetland replication plan. We went out and did test pits for groundwater, depth of groundwater, to make sure that the hydrology would meet the requirements. And then obviously a planting plan and a grading plan are included here. Just one note, we always include a note that the shrubs and plugs are always subject to what's available on hand at the local nurseries. So we do allow for some substitutions by the on-site wetland scientist who will be on site to oversee the replication and construction. And this is the bordering land subject to flooding replication area that's proposed.
The cross-section.
Yes.
Is helpful as well.
Do you want me to continue my presentation now?
Yeah.
Okay. In conclusion, New England Power is committing to minimizing disturbed areas by keeping project activities within an existing maintained utility right-of-way. We work to maximize use of existing upland access to the highest point practicable. And they're committing to the best management practices. I did include their BFP manual. They are committing to we are going to be preparing a SWIP. We'll have a NIPDZ NOI with EPA. So I automatically require at least a monitor and inspection report weekly and post-rain on the project. And then again, we're going to have full-time turtle monitoring and natural heritage. The project qualifies as a limited project, but we are meeting performance standards by providing the required replication for lost resources. And lastly, New England Power is requesting a waiver due to unavoidable work located within the locally regulated setback zones. With that, I don't know if there's questions that want to be asked now, or if people want to look at the site plans, or there's certain areas of interest.
I have a question if the commission doesn't have one presently, and I'm trying to get to the figure just because it may be helpful to have it be. So on page 10 of 16 is the still in the stormwater report.
That's the butters list.
Yeah.
Pretty much the whole town, right?
Yeah.
Here we go. What number are you? 13. Oh, cool. We're almost there.
10 of 16, you said?
Yes, 10 of 16. And again, on the screen, it's really just kind of a bright green area. It's the Heron Rickery behind Lakes Hill Road, Rome Drive, Cottages in the Woods is kind of up to the
Yeah.
plan, right? And I appreciate the engineering being done to, I don't know if you mentioned it, but
They're
these.
removing all those
Yeah,
structures
those are
out of the
removing,
wetlands.
they're removing structures from within the wetland resource area, which, again, I remember bringing up a couple of years ago when they were doing the soil testing, you know, if we can get things out of there, and they've certainly engineered it as such. My one question was, you know, do you know how deep that is? And they're proposing, you know, the temporary matting. At what depth can they kind of achieve kind of getting out into?
I've seen some pretty amazing feats of engineering with the matting companies in my day. I've seen them, be able to stack mats 50, 60 feet tall.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that, and again, you know, as was a special condition when they were doing the soil borings, I'd also, you know, specifically like to, you know, be notified when this was, you know, occurring, just to, you know, the installation and kind of, again, this work in a resource area is certainly something a little bit more out of the ordinary than, you know, kind of the couple layers of timber matting. And that was really my only kind of couple thoughts.
No?
This is more for my education. What's the matting, the temporary matting for? What is it and what is it for?
Sure. It's bolted, very heavy-duty pine, or not, sometimes it's pine, different, it's wood, pretty much. And they're about, very thick. They're about 12 feet by 6 feet. No, 16 feet by 4 feet. That's the right dimension. And they place them on top of the vegetation, on top of the wetland soil, and stack them as deep as they need to, as Matt was mentioning, in order to make access way through a wetland.
What is it?
And they'll set them up around the structure as well. And then when all the work is done, they remove all those mats. And then typically we go out and just monitor for revegetation, making sure that the wetland soil is the same basic elevation, that there's no compaction, and that it's revegetated before we request to close our.
I think you included some pictures of the mats in the online packet.
Yeah,
It was just the online, it wasn't
yeah, the
the-
O&M,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
that's photos.
Yeah, it's not in the.
Some in the 300 pages, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's, if you got the right 300 pages.
So you have equipment driving on that then,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, sir.
Like heavy equipment?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And did you say you were going to talk about I see amphibians listed somewhere and reptiles?
Yeah, here's an example of construction mat bridges, kind of for,
Okay.
And that shows how they span streams. So they'll protect the bank by putting stringers, and then they'll basically span over the stream, and
Okay.
to avoid any impacts to the land underwater or stream bed disturbance.
Sure. Okay.
just for.
And the wildlife, the amphibians and reptiles that you mentioned, you talked about the turtles, but are there other animals that are affected?
There's a very small area of blue-spotted salamander on this right-of-way,
Okay.
but the breeding habitat associated with it is not on the right-of-way. That is not the subject of the conservation management permit requirement. It is the turtles. It is the work in the turtle habitat.
Okay.
I had kind of a different question, and I think it's on page 3 of 16. That's one location in the vicinity of Beaver Brook where there are publicly accessible trails that run under the right-of-way transmission lines. While this work is going on, is there any requirement for those trails to not be used, or are the public still able to use those trails at that time?
There may be safety concerns for active construction and having people walking through an active construction site,
Okay.
especially when they're going to be using very large equipment to do aerial work, so they're going to be lifting, heavy things, and they're going to be up above pulling wires, working on very tall structures. I know that Matt did reach out to the applicant, I think it was yesterday? Or this morning? Yesterday, I think.
Yeah.
And asked the question, and, the company's committing to, coordinating with the trail organization. They may post signs just to let people know that, there's construction ahead. Oftentimes on other projects I've worked on, at the trailhead, they'll also if there's a detour or something like that, that people can continue hiking but get around.
Or, because this is a fairly large trail network, part of it goes under the transmission lines and part of it goes elsewhere. So yeah, it may just be that we need to coordinate with a local conservation trust that does a lot of our trail management and figure out the appropriate places and times when signs are put up that portions of the trail should not be used.
Yes,
Okay.
and that's for the public's good.
Yeah, I know. So the equipment you're talking about, that would be left in place overnight and over weekends, correct?
Some of the larger equipment that can't be moved, yes, it will need to remain, especially when they're staged in wetlands, like the large drill rigs, things like that. Typically, they will commit to using secondary containment under those pieces of equipment in the event that there's some kind of malfunction or a slow drip. That may happen overnight.
Okay, the areas, and thinking about having walked it myself, I think the areas where the trail activity would occur are probably upland rather than necessarily buffer zone or resource areas.
Okay.
So some of it may just be thinking about, okay, there needs to be communication in areas that are not jurisdictional because there's places where the public walks today and we just, I guess it's separate from stuff under the Wetlands Protection Act, but it's still, part of safety concerns.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Matt, you have any comments or questions from members of the audience? Okay. So,
If amenable, we can draft the order of conditions and the special conditions for the commission's next meeting, May 13th. We can provide them in advance for you guys to review, make sure everything's consistent, but would recommend continuing to the May 13th meeting.
okay. And I have a motion to continue the public hearing to May 13th.
Second.
All those in favor? Eric?
Yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Ann?
yes,
Lauren? Yes. And Margaret, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Have a nice evening.
You too.
We need a mic.
Okay, moving on to our 7:35 PM agenda item. It's a public hearing for Pumphrey, 13 Forest Road.
Under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford's non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, April 22nd, 2026 at 7:35 PM in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, to consider the notice of intent application of Charles Pumphrey for the construction of a two-car garage within 100 feet of bordering vegetated wetlands and restoration of wetlands and buffer zone at 13 Forest Road, Assessors Map 78, Parcel 1, Lot 0.
Good evening, Mark Slater from Allen Engineering, here on behalf of Ann and Charlie Pumphrey, who are sitting to my left. This started out as what we thought was going to be a fairly simple project of adding a garage onto an existing house. In part of preparing the plan, I did some research as to finding the location of the septic system. And back in 2015, the prior owner of the property submitted an RDA to replace the septic system and had the wetlands delineated. We also, in anticipation of this project, had the wetlands delineated, and that was done before we realized that it was done back in 2015. And when I overlaid the plans, I noticed there was a fairly sizable discrepancy between what was there for wetlands then in 2015 and what the wetland line is like now. The existing wetland line, as it was flagged recently, is shown in green, whereas the red line is what was flagged in 2015, right here. So this put a little bit of a, little more consideration into the project than just adding the garage, realizing that the commission probably would like to see some kind of restoration plan. So what I did is, right now there's an existing chain link fence, and the wetland is pretty much just on the other side of the fence. The rest of the area is all lawn. Back in the 2015 plan, when the wetland line was in here, there wasn't a fence, and there was no differentiation between what was lawn and what was wetland. So we can only assume that the wetland encroached right up to the lawn or the maintained yard area. So what we are proposing to do is restore the area, the shaded area here. This area here was filled, is probably about maybe about a 3-foot drop off here right after the chain link fence. And just restoring this small area here didn't make a lot of sense when we can come up with much more usable area in this location. So I used the if you want to just scroll up a little bit, I've got the numbers. So there's a certain amount of wetland that was altered, and what we're proposing is to replicate the wetland with additional, restored area, which would exceed the amount that was actually altered. The nature of the restoration, what I'm proposing is just to regrade this area, remove the lawn, reseed it with a wildlife mix, wetland mix rather, relocate the chain link fence, and then I'll just let this grow back naturally and reestablish itself as a wetland. There's also an existing shed here. It's just an aluminum shed. It's easy enough to move. And there's a little play set here that would also be relocated. We would be putting the shed out in this location, which is at the corner of the property near the edge of the property off near where the garage is. So this line here would represent the relocated chain link fence. There'd be a natural buffer here, and then you would have the actual wetland here that would be allowed to grow back. Now, getting on to the actual purpose of the project, we're proposing a 24 by 24 attached garage with a living space above the garage. As the house currently sits, it does not meet the 50-foot setback, so that the garage can't go any further than what the existing setback is, or any closer to the street than what the existing setback is. But we do maintain 48 feet from the wetland to the corner of the garage. Right here is the existing driveway that's supported with a small retaining wall. So the garage is going to be completely over where its existing pavement is now anyway. So we're replacing pavement with a garage. And then all here, no work is proposed in this area, it's just existing lawn. So as far as the restoration goes, I had a couple of ideas. The wetland specialist suggested that maybe just move the fence and let it grow back naturally and not do any excavating. I don't think it would grow back as wetland necessarily, so I think, we could just grade it back a little bit, leave the loam there, and it would, within probably 1 or 2 growing seasons, you'd never notice there was an issue there. So what we're trying to do is just make an effort to restore what was there before they bought the house.
Would you be taking the fence down too?
The fence will be relocated, yes. This section of the fence will be removed and it'll be reinstalled over in here.
And Mark, where's the 100-foot line? Is that the
100-foot
green
is,
line there?
No, it's
no,
down
this
here.
is the 100-foot right here.
Yeah, okay.
This is the 55-foot right in here.
55-foot, you encroach upon that with the garage, and it's the limit of building. But
Correct.
Because you said that
We-
why do you give more weight to the 50-foot frontage or front buffer? Not
We
buffer.
would need a zoning variance because
Right.
we can't We can't encroach
Right,
closer to the street.
but you're not supposed to be within 55 feet of the, or no building within 55.
I'm not sure which one governs.
You picked one.
But
Is it existing
Well, to
lawn
move-
right now?
it's existing driveway.
Okay,
it's
yeah, it's
pavement.
asphalt.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I positioned it there. It would be, flush with the existing house, wouldn't have any unusual jogs to it, and it's over existing pavement. So we'd be removing pavement and replacing it with roof, which is, technically, it's a cleaner runoff from that area.
Do you have any, like, runoff where you're collecting runoff from the roof, or you just gonna let it drip off to like a drip edge, or?
Probably a drip edge, although we
Is that-
could,
is that kind of that, like-
I don't know if you recall.
Pardon me, just a minute. You thinking of that in terms of mitigation for the,
No, I'm just thinking right now, I mean, he's got asphalt right now, I know what our typical setback are, but I mean, right now he's sitting on asphalt. So I just didn't, you're putting the garage there, I just didn't know if he was having anything for the, for the roof runoff. drainage for
because if he
roof
does
runoff.
take care of that, that would be a mitigation for the limit of building encroachment, right?
Could be.
Yeah.
I mean, it really wouldn't, kill the project if we put in a little chamber system right here and had the roof runoff go into that. That's,
So it would infiltrate rather than drip?
yeah, we
It would
could do
be,
that.
it would, so the intent would be to get the water underground and then it would continue to infiltrate from there as opposed to potentially landing on the
Right.
Mhm.
surface and running off.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you probably remember, but we were here for a notice of intent on this house, which is lot 17. That's the house that
Had
was
the problem with
condemned.
the foundation, was it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there was a shed over in this location that was actually owned by the Pumphreys,
It
and,
was put there by the previous owner.
right, it was an old
Connection
wooden
with
shed that was never
properties.
used, and you wanted it removed,
There's a lot
so
of issues.
we removed it.
Yes.
I don't think there's the same issues with the boulders and all of that fill that we had, which I sent Matt a foundation excavation report that was quite impressive with respect to what was there. But getting back onto this, I don't think we have any of those issues, so, if there's a small infiltration chamber right there, I think that would help the cause.
I'd be good with that.
Okay. Getting back to the replication area, is the commission comfortable with what I proposed as far as just excavating and seeding?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, my only thing would be, to avoid problems with future homeowners, is if, the types of posts that we put in with a placard, that indicates, resource area, a no disturb buffer to a resource area. So there's the fence that's in place today, but some kind of post.
On the other side of the fence?
Yeah, just something
Like a
at a couple
notification.
of locations to basically, if a future homeowner decides to get rid of the fence, there's still something that delineates, the edge of a no disturb buffer so that we don't have people encroaching back in.
Rather than affixing it to the fence, you want some,
If it's
Yeah,
a
because
fixed-
you're worried about them taking down the
Yeah.
fence at some point.
Yeah, if somebody says, oh, let's just let's remove the fence, the
Mhm.
post, the placards would go with it. So it just,
Yeah.
maybe just, since it's fairly straight lined, 1, 2, 3, and then also, I guess it's, if, where the fence is closest to the wetland, if the slope there is problematic, then that's probably not a case where nobody would be looking to do lawn treat there.
definitely not.
Yeah, it's like a 3 or 4 foot drop there.
Yeah, so it
This is the drop, this is where it's kind of a
so where the
gradual
filling
slope.
occurred before, let's just put something so that people don't do that again in the future.
Yeah, so there's probably one here, and one here.
Yeah,
Okay.
no,
There are no trees above that proposed garage, right, that you're taking down or anything?
No, there's no trees being removed, this is all pavement. Just gonna dig that out, probably remove the retaining wall, and just build the garage.
Okay.
any other questions? Matt?
Just question, so with respect to this front kind of area, is that existing and to remain?
Yeah, that's just a little landscape, there's a little landscape wall here with a mailbox and a telephone pole,
Right.
and it's outside the.
It being in the right of way, just wanted to, if it was being proposed, if it was new and being proposed, wanted to run it by the DPW.
No,
But if it's existing
existing.
and being retained, then
Yeah.
it's there and, and it's outside the buffer. Again, I did, you kind of addressed the questions about the retaining wall, garage foundation that's going to be kind of tied in together. One's removing, the other one's going in.
Right.
I know, just because of where the proposed shed is, kind of tying into Jim's comment before about zoning questions, I just want to confirm the shed location is not going to create any zoning issues with its proximity to the side lot line. And again, whether that gets moved further up or.
Yeah, it's it's an aluminum, I think it's about 8 by 10. I'll check with the building commissioner.
It's just something to.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise it can go,
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
Try
where it could go, but
see where it could go.
probably on this side somewhere.
Yeah. And then lastly, again, if the commission is amenable, I remember we had a similar kind of notice of intent that proposed encroachment remediation a couple years ago on Graniteville Road. Yeah, Graniteville Road. Would the commission, I would like to issue an enforcement order to just say this work has to get done now, within the next 8 months, as opposed to, waiting for.
Just a simple friendly enforcement.
Yep,
order.
just to kind of,
Yeah.
as it's being proposed, just say, please do this first before a building permit is issued, just as a, function that, we make sure that the wetland is reestablished and not kind of.
I have a question on
Yeah.
that. Could it be a condition within the order with a timeline rather than an enforcement order?
I would want an enforcement order just in the event they don't move forward with the garage construction.
You mean if no action is taken on the, once we issue the order of conditions and approve the project, if no action is taken, then,
Then the wetlands don't get restored, so.
Right, and that's.
So
The
you want-
enforcement
so you-
order, regardless, it'll happen.
so
Right.
Right.
they're separated.
Yeah.
Right, and in terms of the, not proposing any, again, you guys are you're proposing to do this, it's just a different mechanism to ensure that it gets done kind of first or concurrent, again, the commission can certainly opine about, whether concurrent is okay if, you guys are, have a building permit already in with the building commission.
Our contractor, also, the family owns a landscaping company as well, and he said that there should be no problem to get this done relatively quickly.
Okay.
Yeah,
So concurrently and to be completed within,
Yeah, within 8 months, again, yeah.
or, yeah, because you're planning to do the garage right away.
yes, so before the winter, we'd like to have it done.
Okay.
Yes, that's the plan.
Noel, you had another question?
Do you have an additional bathroom, and if so, does it affect the septic?
No, it should be, we haven't worked it through the Board of Health yet, but we're not expecting any revisions.
So no digging of septic and all that, right?
No,
If so, you'll be back.
exactly.
Any comments or questions from members of the audience? So the next thing would be to draft orders?
Yep, draft the special conditions for the commission's review at the May 13th meeting. Additionally, we'll have a draft enforcement order again for all parties to review at that same meeting.
Okay, and that was with your schedule? Can I have a motion to continue the public hearing to May 13th?
Second,
All those in favor? Eric?
yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Ann?
yes.
Lauren? Yes. And Margaret, yes. We'll see you in 3 weeks.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So moving on to our 7:45 PM agenda item, it's a public hearing for the Boston Gas Company, 400 Littleton Road.
Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford's non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, April 22, 2026, at 7:45 PM in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, to consider the request for determination of applicability application of Boston Gas Company for installation of a gas main, paving along an existing paved and/or densely packed gravel driveway, and a 4-foot wide crushed stone pathway, all associated with the establishment of a portable liquefied natural gas facility in Littleton, Mass, within 100 feet of bordering vegetated wetlands and an intermittent stream at 400 Littleton Road, Kimball Farm, Assessor's Map 10, Parcel 1, Lot 0.
Hi, good evening. My name is Matt Wozniak. I'm an environmental engineer with Boston Gas Company, also known as National Grid. I am here, I'll do my best to answer any questions you may have about the LNG facility or operations or National Grid. With me is also Sam Kefferstan. He's an ecologist with BSC, and he completed the application on our behalf and is an expert on wetlands and any questions you might have about that.
Great, I can take it from here. Thank you, everyone. As Matt said, my name is Sam Kefferstan. I'm at 311 River Street, Cambridge, Mass. I'm an ecologist with BSC Group. We're filing this RDA on behalf of the Boston Gas Company for the Kimball's Farm paving, stone pathway, and gas main installation project, or here on out, the project. The proposed work taking place in Westford includes the installation of gas main along Littleton Road and a private driveway to the Kimball's Farm property at 400 Littleton Road, Westford, Mass. The project also includes paving along an existing paved and or densely packed gravel driveway, the installation of a 4-foot wide crushed stone path along said driveway. This work is being conducted in order to support the operation of a seasonal portable liquefied natural gas facility in Littleton, Mass. This project is necessary to support reliability, peak demand in the region, and that the crushed stone path that's being proposed is being installed along that roadway as a safety feature to keep pedestrian traffic separate from road traffic in the area. And so you've got the application pulled up, and right now you're in the in photos, but the location of the proposed project is shown on the environmental resources map as well as the site locus map within our submittal. All the work being proposed will be conducted from the existing roadways, and the portions of the project that are jurisdictional under the Wetland Protection Act and or the local bylaw, they're located within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland and inland bank, associated with some wetland and an intermittent stream observed on the site. Components of the proposed work within the buffer zone are considered exempt buffer zone activities under the WPA. Those activities include the installation of 760 linear feet of gas main within the buffer zone, as well as the repaving of 8,100 square feet of existing roadway within the buffer zone. The portions of the project that are not considered exempt activities under the WPA or the local bylaw are the installation of about 5,880 square feet of new pavement within the buffer zone over the existing gravel driveway or roadway, as well as the installation of about 1,970 square feet of new crushed stone pathway within the buffer zone. But all of this work will be outside of the 50-foot setback from the nearby intermittent stream and or wetland. Portions of this project as depicted on the map are located within estimated and priority habitat for rare and threatened species, such as wood turtle or blue spot salamander, as mapped by Natural Heritage. We've been in coordination with Natural Heritage, and we've submitted a NISA checklist to them for their review. And we have that tracking number, RC-98727. and we're awaiting a determination. Based off of our discussions with the reviewer so far, we anticipate the implementation of a turtle protection plan in order to protect the rare species in the area, and that would likely include full-time turtle monitoring during construction within sensitive dates for the species. But with that, we are seeking a negative determination of applicability from the commission this evening, and we're available to answer any questions you may have to the best of our ability. And thank you so much for your time.
Jim?
I got a couple of questions about the facility itself. It's called portable and LNG, so what's portable
And
about it?
seasonal.
Seasonal,
Was
yes.
another
I
word
missed
too.
seasonal.
Yeah.
But what's portable and why is it liquefied?
So when the liquefaction season is November 1st to March 31st.
Heating season, maximum amount used
That's
for heating, or?
the cold season, yeah. It's basically when the natural gas demand exceeds the supply.
Okay,
And so we're supplementing natural gas into the distribution system.
so is normally that pipe would carry gaseous natural gas?
Yeah, so we're gonna,
And now-
we have
and
tanker
this-
trucks that have LNG. LNG is compressed 600 times, no, 600 times when it's in liquefied state. So when it's turned into natural gas, it expands, so it's very efficient way to store natural gas in the liquid form.
Right.
So we're gonna, come November 1st, we will truck the equipment onto the site and set it up
In Littleton?
in Littleton.
Okay.
Yeah, we have an application with an NOI with the Conservation Commission
Yeah,
in Littleton as well as the Planning Board.
we just get you to the Littleton line. But
Yeah.
the purpose of it is additional gas capacity for the winter months.
Yes.
And what's portable about it?
All the equipment is gonna be portable. So
It's gonna
in the
get-
summer season, there won't be anything there except the fencing and lighting.
Oh, you literally take it out?
It's all in trucks.
Oh, okay. And then,
Yeah.
Eric,
And-
you had a question on the,
And just for your information, we're estimating 30 trucks in the winter season is what we're gonna use.
Meaning a truck gets empty, goes out, and a new truck comes in?
The truck comes in, yeah, we'll have the capacity to do 2 trucks at once,
Okay.
but we're talking over 5 months, 30 trucks,
So you-
LNG.
Periodically swapping trucks out.
okay, thank you.
Same roadway that's for the new proposed arcade. So where is that in relation to this plan?
So that's in this general area, to the
So
top
why
of.
isn't that like shown?
And that's a,
Looks like there's a parking lot right at the very top of that.
right, that's the
side.
back of the batting cage.
So
and
that's where we parked when we did the site visit for the
That
project.
that general area. Again, and is this to serve is this to serve or provide utility service for their proposed building, or is this for general?
This is for the distribution system for customers in Littleton and Westford and customers in the vicinity that are using natural gas.
Pipeline doesn't even go up to the.
Right, well, I mean, they're not, and that's a question, again, for.
Well, they're not showing it, but doesn't mean it's not happening.
Right, I mean, again, you as the applicant in the application as proposed, you are proposing to go from Littleton Road to this area in Littleton via whether additional work is, again, kind of proposed, again, from, say, this facility to that, I don't recall that being a part of the notice of intent, or work within the buffer that the commission reviewed, but again, there is a degree of this project being, the project may have been segmented so that, again, kind of, to Eric, to your point about, the paving.
This whole site, every time we seem to get something new, I swear, it seems like every 6 months. And we don't have a holistic plan for the site. So, to me, it just seems like segmentation. We're seeing piece after piece after piece. And I thought before, we wanted to see what the plan was for this site in this totality. And again, here we are, not even a few months after the proposal for the new arcade, you know, there's this, and I'm just trying to understand what the plan is in its entirety. And I just don't understand how, well, I can't see how we could issue just a negative determination. I would think at the very least it would have to be conditional.
So this pipe is actually to transmit gas from here out to the main road, and then it becomes part of the distribution network that way?
Yes, the reason we're extending the gas line to this location, to this parking lot, is so that we can add natural gas in the winter
So,
distribution.
so there's not gas coming in, there's gas going out. It's going, normally we would see this and think, oh, there's a gas line in the street, and you're bringing it on site. In this case, you're bringing trucks on site, and the gas will be carried back out to the main road.
That's the purpose.
Okay.
Boston Gas is leasing like that parking lot area from the Kimball Farm property, so that is why.
Yeah, it's just another whole part of this whole site, yet, you know, so what's the next thing?
Well, I mean, and again, kind of as proposed, you know, this dirt compacted gravel, the compacted gravel shoulder, I forget, but crushed stone shoulder or walking path. There's not that there, you know, again, going back to looking at, you know, some of the photo, you know, there's not an existing walking,
Walkways.
yeah, walkway, you know, from Littleton Road to the back. Again, you know, the.
But there wasn't, I don't believe there was ever supposed to be.
No,
I
no,
thought
no,
the
again,
way
no,
that this
no.
road was designed when it was very first put in was, in essence, kind of to limit what was going to happen. And as I see things continue to expand here, you know, I wonder if we should be looking at some of the earlier orders to see if we put any restrictions on this road and, you know, could it be expanded and changed to the way it is? And, you know, I don't know if anybody's taken a good look back, because I thought when this original road in, I thought it was fairly restricted.
We can certainly take a look back at some of those previous orders again.
I
for
remember
the
during
site.
the discussions we had that, whether it actually made it to the orders or not, you know, we'll see.
Yep.
Question, Matt, could you put up the map, please? Is the whole thing in the VVW?
So for the most part, it's within buffer to, again, this was an intermittent, the bank of the intermittent stream.
That's right.
So that's locally regulated. The green flagging here is bordering vegetated wetlands. Thankfully, I appreciate BSC Group being consistent across your mapping projects. So I got good with the other, you know, all 16 pages. By the time I got to you guys, I was like, oh, this is easy. And so in Westford, there's a portion of the new, a portion of the new driveway and the gas line here that's within 100 feet of that intermittent stream. Again, it also continues further up, and then at
So do you know how close it is to the stream?
the nearest, no, I don't know what the nearest, do you know, I mean, of where they're proposing new pavement, I
Right.
would guess it's 70 feet. Again, I know where this was previously, an order of conditions was previously issued by the commission for the installation of the road. We could certainly go back and look at those plans, but not to,
It may have indications like what the exact purpose of the roadway was, like access to the batting cage parking lot. If it says that.
I
is it-
thought we didn't want people walking back and forth on that because if we were worried about liability. I thought it was
Yeah.
to drive down, not to have,
There might
you know.
be something in the conditions indicating what the strict purpose of the roadway was.
yep, and again, and so again, if the commission is entertaining issuing a negative determination, again, I would respectfully request that the public hearing be continued until we get Natural Heritage's letters for just so that, again, if it's supposed to, if there is a proposed take and there is conditions requiring something, we can include that as a component of the determination. In that interim, we can also, do a little bit of research and figure out, again, I know this is the work for which this access drive was created. That order was never closed out with a certificate of compliance. And again, that's, the next thing on the agenda. But that's, we can certainly go back and look at what was issued and kind of, if the commission has concerns regarding the paving of it, its access through the winter time, again, we can kind of look to confirm what the.
Well, right now it's crushed.
It's.
And I'm wondering if we had it done, we had it that way for a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Typically, we wouldn't, typically most people would want it paved, and we might have restricted it as being crushed stone at the time.
Right. Another
Yeah.
question I have, again, kind of tying back into the commissioner's comments regarding the approval for the arcade and improvements associated with that. There was a stormwater management permit with which was issued by the planning board for that work. Is this, I'm waiting to hear back from the town planner about if this is, the paving of this area, should that benefit from stormwater management? And again,
It
that's.
has to if it's new, I believe.
Right, I mean, and that's,
Yeah.
again, in terms of not specifically related to, the request for the installation of the gas line, but as they're also proposing, pavement and this, pedestrian access way, okay, well, now we're looking at, it's certainly expanding a little bit more than just, a gas line installation, and again, if it's to be serving pedestrian and public uses, are there any trees that need to be removed as part of, is there any grading, there's a lot of, again.
I mean, look where this is. Look where this was put. I mean, we restricted it, if you go back and look.
could I
Let's
share
take a
some?
look. I mean, the other question I have, and it's probably not, it's not for us, but Littleton, wouldn't they have to have done an alternatives analysis just for citing it where they are?
I can't
As
speak
opposed to
to.
not finding another spot where they could have cited it? I mean, right now, they're sticking the facility in Littleton. But typically, if this was all in Westford and them putting it where they are, we would have asked them for an alternatives analysis to show that there was no other place this could go.
Right, I mean, again, for the most part, what they're proposing is within an existing gravel, maintained gravel area.
Still would have had to, still would have had to have done it, though.
Mhm. Yep, I can certainly share with, I know at least the town planner, Littleton's town planner has reached out. I'm more than happy to reach out to their conservation commission and just kind of see what the discussion is with them.
I don't know what the
with respects to-
rationale was. Maybe it was submitted, maybe it was sufficient.
I haven't,
Curious.
Yeah, certainly.
We have, well, okay, you wanted to say
Well,
something.
yeah, well, a few points I wanted to share. I had seen an email from Matt about asking about the increase in impervious in the area, and if that's a trigger for a stormwater permit under the Westford bylaw. So my understanding, the threshold was an acre. I know it seems like there's some discussion about there are other projects proposed at the property, and so I can understand
Well,
your.
restrictions that we put on it, I hear what you're saying, but it might have been in the past that we restricted it just so this could not occur.
Understood.
And, therefore, if we did that, it was for a purpose. And I just want to make sure that we, look at the historical record to see what might have been posted in the past.
Understood. Fair. But I did just want to say that really for the, the roadway's partially gravel, partially paved. In terms of an increase of impervious, it would really just be that pathway, and that would be about 1970 square feet of increase from, and that would be well below that acre threshold. So that was, our interpretation going into this. But understand.
Appreciate that. No, appreciate that.
And I'd also just say that, we will be committing to a SWIP given, between Littleton and Westford. We're expecting over an acre of disturbance. And so what comes with that will be, weekly monitoring and post-rain inspections, as well as, we anticipate daily monitoring during sensitive dates for the turtle protection plan. So wanted to get that across. And as Matt had said, we are in the process. We've submitted a notice of intent to Littleton. And so that date is set for, I believe, the beginning of May. I believe May 5th.
Yep.
So that's ongoing.
So then, because these projects are are so closely linked, it probably makes sense that we don't close out, is in terms of, I wouldn't want to make a determination, or I would want to proceed with caution, because I wouldn't want some change required by Littleton that all of a sudden affects what you filed with us.
Conflict.
Yeah, just in terms of moving parts.
Sure.
Another thing to look at on the roadway, we may have put restrictions on what type of pipes, electrical, gas main, water main, whatever, would go across that culvert. There's a culvert in here that I know we bent over backwards to get that thing built, and I wouldn't have thought we would say anything could go on it, but I'll bet there could be restrictions on what's allowed in the roadway.
Can certainly check. I mean, you guys did
And that's-
the installation of this. Would this be conventional?
Via trenching
Trenching,
and backfill, that's
Yeah.
right.
Okay,
Yes.
and that would be my other.
And we
I
had-
know sometimes the National Grid and the gas, they use the
Horizontal directional
yeah,
drilling,
Yeah,
yeah.
which again, kind of would bypass the culvert, but yeah, to your point, Jim, can certainly check into that and see what that was designed for.
Yeah, and we had conducted, or National Grid had conducted testing pits. Originally, there was the potential to, the gas main was going to maybe, impact the stream or bank, but based on the results of the testing pits, it seemed like this was the least impactful alternative in terms of wetland resources. One question, if the commission's entertaining, a continuance, would the commission consider a conditional negative and some condition based on, depending on the outcome of natural heritage's, determination, given that's outstanding?
I think Matt needs to look up some history.
Well,
right?
yes, because we have,
A lot of
in
questions.
fact, we have open
Sure.
orders of condition that affect this location, the roadway. So some of it is going back and seeing what conditions were placed on as part of that project, because yours is not something that's happening in isolation. And we want to go back and do our due diligence that says,
So until we do that, it's hard to actually say, it may not be just a, conditional negative determination, it might have to be something else. So I
Yeah.
don't think we can, at this point, say that that's going to be the outcome
And-
until we do our review.
and we normally don't issue either until we've heard back from Natural Heritage.
Mm-hmm.
Lauren?
Would you look at the parking lot that's on the side of the road as your piping is going to? Like the other?
Do you mean like essentially like off screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't. I know that there had been some investigation there from a different project at a different time, but my knowledge on that's fairly limited.
Yeah, there's some septic fields in a portion of that area. I know, and kind of getting back to did we look at alternatives? We have, for the past 2 winter seasons, it's kind of off the page here, but, all right, so this is Shea Street. So this is where our reg station is, and this is what we're coming off of and going to this
What station,
location.
what'd you call it?
Regulation station for the gas.
Regulates the
meter.
pressure, or?
Yeah. We call it a reg station.
Okay.
It's where we can, it's a big enough pipe where we can tie into and use an LNG facility to tie into it. We can't just tie in anywhere. And so 2 years ago, we did some work on Shea Street, and off the page, but there's I think it was a Microsoft
IBM.
campus at one,
Yeah,
IBM?
yeah, the IBM
Okay,
campus.
so we have been leasing a parking lot from them for the past 2 winter seasons and setting up a temporary seasonal LNG facility there. But that whole property is gonna be redeveloped. And so we're not gonna have the ability to use that. And so that was our choice, and now we're looking at alternatives.
So that's one of the drivers for looking for another location.
Yes, yeah, because
The loss of
that.
that,
Exactly. And that was in a parking lot. You know, we got negative determination for wetlands and all that. It was an existing parking lot. It really suited our purposes. It was closer to Shea Street. But, you know, it's not going to work forever. So here we are looking at alternative.
So what about on the opposite side, where, I mean, I assume that's part of the Kimball's property right there on the opposite side?
Yeah,
of
this
that
is their
parking lot?
overflow parking. Again, I know there's a septic system that was recently replaced, received a negative determination for at the replacement at this dwelling. I know further on.
I'm just
on
looking
the
at
other
all
side,
that, and I'm
right,
seeing
I
an
know,
area that's
I know.
even outside of our jurisdiction, basically, and I'm like, well, why are we?
I know the wetland resource further down where they, you know, where the leach fields are. Again, that's maybe a quarter mile or so down. There could be leach fields here, I don't, but that, I'd be curious if, you know, something could be done here on this side.
and actually, because Shea Street doesn't go anywhere, right? I mean, could you even just pave that?
It's not enough room. I mean,
No, it's a
just-
right of way, it's the town's right of way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So even though it doesn't cross 495 anymore?
It's still-
a public right of way?
it's still a public right of
Yeah,
way.
there's
Okay.
a road.
So that's not a,
Circle.
I may ask some questions with my colleagues about that, Tepe. I'd be curious.
It'll be
Okay.
very close to your reg station.
Yeah, I mean, that's where, we continued it down Shea Street, and then there was a path into the IBM parking lot that we utilized.
Okay, so,
Questions from the audience?
yeah, any comments or questions from members of the audience?
You know, you just looked at the Japanese restaurant spot?
If you could stay.
Come up to the mic and tell us who
Yeah.
you are. We'd like to hear your comments or your questions.
Here you go.
No, it's just a suggestion based on the comments. Crosscast, 23 Minot. There's a Japanese restaurant that they leveled. It's right next to where you said you were using the IBM parking lot. You might be able to just tie in right there.
Yangtze River.
Yeah.
Suggestion.
Sure.
I was gonna say, what Japanese?
Thank you.
It's Chinese, yeah.
Anyone else? Okay, so no, when did you submit your letter to National Heritage?
We had formally submitted today, but
Today.
we had been, we've been in discussions.
Okay, so when does the clock tick?
I mean, there's technically a 30-day from submittal. I mean, but again, if you've had preliminary conversations, again, if, you know, the commission continues this to the next meeting on
May 13th?
the May 13th meeting, again, I've seen them turn them around faster for things that they know are coming in. And so, again, we can have answers to that, we can have answers to, again, kind of the commission's questions regarding the previous orders, and we'll make sure to share stuff with you, again, so.
Okay, can I have a motion to continue the public hearing to May 13th?
So moved.
Second,
All those in favor? Eric?
yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Ann?
Yes.
Lauren?
Yes.
And Margaret, yes.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank
you so much.
Yeah, we'll see you on the 13th.
Yep. Moving on to our 7:50 PM agenda item, it's a discussion of a draft enforcement order for Jack and Clara Farmstead LLC, 400 Littleton Road.
I can certainly start this one. Following up from discussions during the last public hearing, I guess it's now the last public hearing, related to work at 400 Littleton Road, Kimball's. The wetland scientist at the time did mention and identify outstanding orders of conditions with which were identified as outstanding, with work related for a certificate of compliance to, or work required such that a certificate of compliance could be issued. In terms of the draft enforcement, included at the end was the letter from my predecessor, dated August 2017, including with her project summary list and her annotated kind of comments regarding COCs issued. And that was the basis for a lot of the findings for as part of the enforcement order. Again, there are 2 present and unexpired orders of conditions the commission may recall, or I guess it's now 3. We didn't do it for we didn't include the most recent order of conditions issued for the arcade, restaurant, and associated stormwater infrastructure in proximity to the batting cages, but the other DEP file numbers, the present and non-expired ones, are for the installation of the golf range nets, and the original order of conditions for the construction of the arcade in its present temporary location, and associated stormwater infrastructure for that. I did provide a draft to the property owner and their representatives. Again, I wanted this to be, again, as the wetland scientist, sorry about that, during the course of the public hearing for the arcade, mentioned it. I know several commissioners during the site walk, we kind of verbally went over some of the, again, what wasn't covered by 18 inches of snow. We got kind of a verbal report on the work to be done. And again, as it's been outstanding since 2017, you know, the work, as we're getting into the spring growing season, it is certainly of a time with which we should be, with which the property owners can comply with these outstanding things, and we can make progress on closing out these both outstanding and for work that was again previously done, again as previously discussed with the as part of the RDA previous RDA discussion public hearing. If there's any questions from members of the commission.
So I have a question. We have ability to basically put a halt on future work until these previous orders of condition have been complied with? Because if we keep on having projects come before us that we approve, but we keep on having orders of conditions that aren't being basically complied with and either expire, then, what's the sense of going through the process and doing that? Right now, we have an enforced order, so I think some of our leverage would be, hey, until you comply with what's out there that's existing, we're gonna just put a halt on future activity.
That's certainly some consideration. I would like to.
I mean, I can't think of another site in town that has this many open orders of condition.
Mhm.
Or some of the long-term non-compliance with completing orders of condition.
Right, and I think it's not so many, I think it's not so much that there are many orders of conditions. I think it's that there are orders of conditions with which have expired, and the work was never finished up, again, as noted in, again, the summary list, again, is updated last, and it looks February 2019. Again, the work has been done to identify what needs to occur. And so I think, we can, get them closed out. There is a path forward.
No.
So, a question about enforcement order. Are they not complying with things or not doing things that they asked to do?
So they've not finished the work. Again, typically, as part of a notice of intent and, the plans, it's okay, we're asking for A, B needs to be done to remediate activities with which, whether it impacted buffer or,
Okay.
and
That's not being done?
And it hasn't all been done. Bits and pieces, again, for the the zip line and batting cages, for example. Again, it's confirmation that the stormwater control features were properly completed according to the manufacturer. An as-built plan be provided, reports saying a project was performed according to the approved, and explaining any deviations. The plan of record is, what was to be done.
Okay.
And, whether it was partially done or there was some planting, some, removal of, a gravel drive and some native seed mix and establishment of that, it's not it's not.
Well, the orders aren't being finalized and basically aren't being closed out.
Yeah.
And the work's not being completed.
Right. And yet we still come forward with new projects that we're approving, yet we still have old projects that outstanding work needs to be done. And we're just trying to, and that's why I say, well, why are we allowing anything new to happen until, we get compliance with what, has been approved.
You'd like to make a comment? Or you just,
No, I'd like to suggest,
Name for the record.
in deference to
Nick,
Cheryl,
say who
I'm the
you are.
attorney for Kimball Farm, I've been doing a lot of the farming. I have with me Brad Kimball, who's one of the owners of Kimball Farm, and as you know, Brian Judor, who's been the engineer with us for a long time. Brian suggested to me that maybe what we do is go through this list and re-identify what it is that isn't done, what it is that is done, and when we can get it done, because he's got, I think all the red lines are finished, right?
Yes.
And then I think there's 4 of those in there that is, they've been long enough ago that the work is finished, and the only thing remaining to be done is that Brian's gonna make final statements, the as-built plan showing all the installations and everything. So I'd like him to go through one at a time. If we narrow the list, it doesn't seem or feel as daunting, and then we can deal with the ones where the work might not have been completely done. Does that make sense? So I'll turn it over.
And Brian, if I can kind of just step in quick, I think your colleague David Cowell was the researcher, for lack of a better term, of these. And so these were identified by Carol, and him collaboratively in kind of looking to document the, again, myriad of orders with which have been issued.
Correct. So I can't exhaustively go through the list, unfortunately. Dave would be able to do that. But however, there are 4 orders of conditions here, and the crux of it is there are items that we never collected on our interim as-built plans relating to drainage in the existing parking lot. That's the zip line. There is a small area of like interior driveway, if you will, for service vehicles that was supposed to be restored. And the last time that we had walked that, Dave, I believe, had walked that with you, Matt, and that was not done.
Correct.
And that needs to be done. So there's a small area of restoration with plantings that had to happen. On the access driveway itself, I believe there were missing shrubs within an area of alteration that needed to be planted. And then there was the original arcade location in the front had a rain garden associated with that that was constructed, but as a crushed stone feature versus a planted feature, and then was superseded with another order. So we need to figure out exactly what to do with that. So there's 2 action items that revolve around additional plantings. There's verification on an as-built plan, and then final certification for all of these, with the exception of that front piece on the arcade, which I think still warrants a little bit of discussion potentially. But I think the crux of the enforcement order is all of this has to be done by August 31st. And thank you, Matt, for taking the time to kind of organize this in such a logical fashion, because I've had conversations with Brad and with the Kimball's team, and the August 31st date, we don't have an issue with that. We're gonna commence with the plantings, immediately, because that is the season, and we'll follow that up with the survey, analysis, and certifications of each of these to file them. So from my opinion, I think everything will be in place for that August 31st.
With the exception of the front arcade building, which we're gonna talk about?
Yes, but we need, it's not something that could be discussed today. We need to look at the condition of it right now, and then likely, Matt, have a meeting about that to figure out if there's a path forward, or do we just put a rain garden in to rip it out, essentially, which is what would have to happen as the orders overlap themselves. So that's the only one that I believe there's a little bit of discussion.
And I'd probably like to loop in planning staff, again, as there's likely a stormwater management plan with which needs to, it can't, we can't just do it in the back. Man, I wish I had the power to
We
just
can't
do
do
stuff.
it in isolation.
I wish I could.
Exactly.
But no, I like to, again, loop in planning staff again and make sure that we're not, I'm not putting my foot in my mouth and kind of overstepping.
Working against somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
And those discussions can happen right now as well, so that we have a game plan for that 31st deadline.
Do we want to, based on how long this is dragging out, do we want to, one of the things that occurred to me is, rather than just kind of saying, oh, it'll be done by the 31st, is there a way that we could implement some milestones so that we can expect, track, and measure progress so that there's no surprises as we close in on the August 31st?
Sure, I mean, in terms of plantings and if that's being committed to in the next, in this growing season, I would, June 30,
I'm good with that.
June
It
30
should be done
for,
by June 30, I would say. So
for that, again, the as-built for the, I mean, again, I think some of these may be able to, if that's at least an interim kind of between now and 4 months from now, like as a 2-month, as a 2-month check-in, hey, we've done this, we've gotten this.
What things can be completed in the next 2 months, and then the longer pole items.
So what I would suggest is that if we have a June 30th check-in, and that revolves around plantings, at that same time, we can either file the COCs that don't have work, and we can have that discussion on the 30th, or we can give an update to the commission about any further work outside, even if it's just, we need to go survey this to put it on a plan to be able to complete the request for COC. That would be my suggestion.
Do we want to? In terms of the June 3rd, so our last meeting in June is the,
Gotta look that one up. That's too many months away.
And you're just talking about this as a checkpoint, just to see how things are going at that point.
but also, you know, some of the things like plantings will be done then. I'm thinking about proof of recording of the
Okay,
NH.
so it's like a
Yeah.
sequence of things and what you're expecting by certain days.
Is there are things that obviously can be done by then, and so we would want to check in, so we could say, oh yeah, this one's done, this one's done.
We should be able to close it out.
Right, and then we just continue doing that until they're all done, right?
Yes, I mean, again, it doesn't preclude that, or I guess it does preclude that August 31st. You know, it doesn't,
So
that August.
everything's still gonna be done by August 31st, but you wanna do some stepwise checks between now and August.
Yeah, so we're not waiting for everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds reasonable. No one, I would hope they don't plan everything to be done on the last day.
I'm taking it off. I'm already booking it. You're not gonna get an inspection.
June 24th.
June 24th? Okay, so that we'd have a check-in on the June 24th meeting.
All right, so.
Plantings,
So it's not the 30th, it'll be the 24th.
Yeah.
Well,
It'll kind of be a checklist against the findings in the.
exactly.
Okay. Would I recommend, you know, that week, we sidewalk before the 24th, like that Monday, Tuesday?
Yeah, we can put that on the books. And also, again, if the commission's considering issuing this, again, it wasn't on the agenda, but if we're outside of losing 3 weeks for, you know, kind of.
What, issue the enforcement order?
Issued the enforcement as amended, again, to include the first order that,
Yeah,
plantings be
let's-
done by June 30th, and, you know, the COC, and then modify Order 3. Again, they're all in attendance at this meeting. I don't think they need to attend the next,
I'll make a motion to that effect.
That we will issue the amended enforcement order on our May 13th meeting.
No, I would
No.
issue it.
No.
Issue it now,
Yeah.
but
Okay, but
amend
amended with what you're talking about.
with, again, June 30th for plantings, and then either COCs or updates at the June 24th meeting.
But if the plantings, wouldn't we want the plantings by June 24th as well? Because at the 24th, they're going to say they're in the ground.
June 24th for the plantings, and then COCs or updates for the commission's June 24th meeting.
Yep. So, I have a motion to issue this amended. Second. All those in favor? Eric?
Yes.
Marilyn? Noel?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Ann?
Yes.
Lauren? Yes. And Margaret, yes.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
There's two things going around
Two
for
pages.
signature. Yeah, or there's two things with two pages, because I forgot about
Two things to
one.
sign and two pages to sign.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to our 7:50 PM, our next agenda item, which is the Stony Brook Conservation Area. Matt, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Again, as previously discussed by the commission, I do not have an update presently for, this is not the right agenda. That is, I don't know what I did on that one, what I opened up. There we go. That's the right agenda. Regarding the Stony Brook Conservation Area, again, I will, for the April 29th special meeting, I will have a proposed tree pruning and removal kind of exhibits for the Depot Street parking area, again, also around Camp Neshoba and Cielo. Last Thursday, I performed a site walk with our new caretakers, the Assistant Town Manager of Strategic Operations, Mike Edwards, Facilities Director Jeff Goodwin, Recreation Director Michelle Collette, and Director of Public Works Kyle Fox. Again, looking at kind of the conditions of the camps, and I know this also ties in with a larger select board discussion, so some of it may be available for discussion at the April 29th, some of it may also be kind of tabled and updates provided at the select board meeting, one of their May meetings. And again, the leash law signage, while we were up there, again, touring the property, I took down the information, the dog's information of a visitor whose dog was off leash, did not have a leash, and did not feel that they had to comply with the town's bylaw. And so the animal control, yeah, and it was certainly, I was glad I was up there with colleagues. I certainly see the need for the, numerous people up there. Again, this was the gentleman who I encountered was very confrontational and indignant about that I was, asking him to leave the property because he didn't even have a leash with him. And I know the animal control officer is being, there was an email previously provided to the commission regarding updated signage, but the gentleman we encountered walked past no less than 3 of them, if not 4, between the Depot Street parking area and where we were at Camp Neshoba, and with one in view and one that he passed maybe 150 feet prior, and just did not feel that. I don't think
It didn't pertain to him.
Right.
I don't think we change, right now, the leash law sign, the signs there say, please leash all pets, or, all pets must be leashed, and, that, clean up afterward, clean up after them. I don't think changing signage to say all dogs must be leashed and citing the town's bylaw is really going, really
Was
would
gonna
change.
make a difference? Yeah.
He didn't care,
He didn't care.
they didn't care. And so that's, again, while I took down his information provided to the animal control officer to, issue a citation, because this, it's not, there's not education. People don't want to be educated. People are,
Fine helps.
and so I think that's the, so I may remove this because I don't think we need leash law signage. I think it just needs to be enforced, because the people who are not complying will not comply regardless of whether or not there's
More signage
or
or
a stricter signage, or it's not. I don't.
It's
think,
not the signage.
I don't think so. I think it's behavior.
So that's it with this agenda item?
Yes.
Okay, so moving on to the next one, it's the Day Agricultural and Conservation Land, the draft MOU with the AgCom update.
Last Monday, I attended via phone the Agricultural Commission, presented the MOU as drafted by the commission. I need to follow up with their chair to see what the vote was and if we can execute it and move forward. But that was whatever that, I think it was April 13th. I'll follow up with them.
You've been sitting here very patiently. Was there some?
No, I came for I came to hear what you were doing with the power lines. I was just interested in how the government works.
Oh, you're welcome.
I find you folks very knowledgeable. You're asking good questions, and You have good concern, but it's nice to hear.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
I just, if you were sitting here for a reason, I wasn't gonna make you sit through stuff you didn't want to listen to.
I didn't want to inspire.
Okay. So moving on to our next
The
agenda.
certificate of compliance request for 69 Broadway Street, I was not able to get out the email to the property owner notifying them that, or performing the site visit, that if new information, if information as requested by the commission is not provided, the certificate of compliance request will be denied and that they may refile at a later date.
So that that email to the
I have-
applicant has to be sent before we
Yep, and
act
a site
on
visit, so I can
denying.
confirm that there hasn't been any
You
progress.
send it certified or just?
No, I haven't, I didn't even send it.
Oh, okay,
It wasn't.
okay.
Moving on to list.
Regarding the enforcement in progress and monitoring, 122 Carlisle Road, I was able to stop out and observe the installation of the conservation post as was required via the enforcement order. So that one has been complied with and is no longer active. 43 Cold Spring Road, I think I sent another email to them or notifying them of the orders with which was to be complied with. I think it was a plan was to be provided by April 30th. To date, or prior to the meeting, I had not received anything. I will certainly follow up with another email. If compliance is, not being followed, again, either fines or I probably will reach out to DEP again, as this is a significant, wetland resource areas were filled in, and try to solicit their input to the weight of their fining capacity. 120 Main Street, erosion controls have been, I'm going to the ones that I can, tick off a little bit faster. 120 Main Street, again, erosion controls were inspected beginning of middle of last week. I don't think they have commenced work on relocating the fence or the pool equipment or the shed, but everything was staked out by the engineering firm as to where they have to go. 27 Tenney Road, I need to follow up with and work towards getting a planting plan again, as that kind of had. There was a let's wait until snow melts kind of thing. For the CSX Railways right-of-way, notification was received of their 2026 yearly operational plan. It was included as miscellaneous in the commission's packet. Again, I have not even received acknowledgement that, the enforcement order had been issued, and,
Issued or received?
Or received.
Okay.
That they've received it, that they're planning on complying. Again, that may be a question to the enforcement arm of DEP to say if they're not complying, they're not even acknowledging the enforcement order, what do we do?
What are our options?
Do we calculate the fine based on the number of days since they've been notified?
I mean, we certainly can. I would welcome, I would certainly welcome town council and or input to make sure that what we're doing is appropriate in terms of.
And if they, would DEP, reaching out to DEP, would they be able to identify if there have been any precedent, any similar situations that would serve as a precedent for us?
I can certainly ask.
Okay.
Or ask them to,
Yeah.
intervene again, as, their fining capacity under the state's Wetlands Protection Act is significantly larger than the towns under the local wetland bylaw. For all the discussion and action items, I do not have an update.
Anything on Hill?
Outstanding.
The Stony Brook Conservation Area took up a little bit of my time last
No
week.
kidding, huh? So is everybody gonna be able to attend our?
The
meeting next
29th meeting?
Wednesday?
I'm not sure.
To attend what?
The meeting on the 29th.
Next
Yeah.
Wednesday?
Yeah, I can do that.
We can,
Yeah, I'm there, I'm here.
You're-
And it's here, right?
yeah,
We need to know that, we need to figure out the role.
Okay.
confirmation. And again, if you need, you know, if we need to dial people, if you're, you know,
My son has his track, both kids have track meet.
Okay. In town, out of town?
It's in town.
Okay.
So I am going to it.
Yeah, I
So
can
don't know
come.
what times are.
Okay.
it would likely be 7 o'clock, so,
Right, I don't know what time they.
oh, the track meets.
They start at 4-ish, so they're done, I'll be there.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, and come when you,
Art?
It's gonna be this room?
maybe.
You're gonna find out.
I have to confirm.
What room's it gonna be in?
Well, I wanna
Well,
know.
There'll be an agenda.
Don't
I
be a
will-
wise
It
guy.
being a
Don't be a
fifth
wise guy.
Wednesday, it being a fifth Wednesday, there's a good possibility that it's not been booked by somebody else. Usually we run into issues where we're on like a Tuesday or a Thursday. Good night.
Good night.
We're on a Tuesday or a Thursday and we're bumping into somebody else's regular meeting. And there's-
But you're required to have a room notice, like in the notice and stuff?
So 48 hour, open meeting
Oh,
law
that's right,
requires
48
48 hours. So,
Post the agenda.
you know, and I appreciate that the commission meets on Wednesday, so I never have to really think about the Monday holidays like planning board, who's now meeting tomorrow night because of
Oh,
Patriots
they got
Day.
bumped, yeah.
Yeah, they got, yeah. So, yeah, it's great. You guys keep meeting on
You like
Wednesday.
Wednesdays, yes.
Wednesdays are good.
There were no minutes, right?
No minutes, again,
It says the
there-
25th.
that was
Okay.
aspirational.
You're looking for a motion to adjourn, right?
He's fast on the gun there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Second,
All those in favor? Eric?
yes.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Ann? Yes.
Oh my God, it's so early.
And Margaret? Yes.